main theme you need to discuss. That what is the main theme? Our main theme here is the change between Rig Vedic to later Vedic, and the important one would be hello everyone, I'm here again to discuss the history papers. Some part has been discussed by Jitendra sir, and now we would be discussing the remaining questions of history, that is your modern India, ancient India and medieval India. But modern India, there are two questions from modern India and one question from your ancient India. There was no question from medieval India. Art and culture, that has been dealt with, and into there we have find out that there was one question on the Chola Empire, that was the transition phase you can say, but medieval mein as such we couldn't see, and there was question on the Palwas. So that was the thing that we have seen. So now let's discuss our topics of modern India first and then ancient India. This is the question from ancient India. Underline the changes in the field of society and economy from the Rig Vedic to the later Vedic period. The question is telling us that you have to underline the changes, that which were the changes specifically, and that too into two domain only. Student usually they do not read these keywords, and these keywords are the thing that would be addressing or helping you to judge the correct demand, direct demand of the question. And believe me, if you would be hitting the direct demand of the question, only then you would be scoring good marks. Otherwise, sometime what happens that people would see that what were the changes from your ancient to this later Vedic to pre-Vedic and pre-Vedic to later Vedic society, that what was the changes, and in a hurry what the student would be doing, they would be collecting each and every point of the change. No idea, don't require, they have asked only specific point, that is society and economy. So how you would be representing this one, that do start with the introduction maybe that why there was a change. So first thing is introduction. And introduction, somebody would be saying that club what they are asking. No, ये नहीं है कि जो टॉपिक मिल गया उससे रिलेटेड आप कुछ भी लिख देंगे. आपको क्या करना है, the theme, main theme you need to discuss, that what is the main theme. Or main theme here is the change between Rig Vedic to later Vedic, and the important one would be that why particularly this change was. Yes, there were a lot of changes, but what was the reason for change? Reason for change is mainly that the discovery of iron that was there into 1000 BC, and that led to new developments. We had new forest clearance, there would be lot of land, and due to that land what would happen, that these clearing force would be giving us fertile land, that land would increase, that means agriculture would increase, and agriculture would be leading to what? Surplus production, and that surplus production would be leading to what? That would be leading to increase into economic activities, and these economic activities would be leading to what? Lot of professions that was required. So that is how you need to deal with, and then do start that this was the region, and due to that there was lot of changes, and then you need to discuss properly that what was the change under society and economy. We would be discussing on the next part. So you have to deal over two things. One is Rig Vedic period, जिसको हम early Vedic period भी बोल देते हैं. Second is later Vedic period. So do draw. This would be perfect if you want to draw the table. Then here write Rig Vedic. Representation does matter. So do draw that society में there would be changes. Then here we would be writing parameters, that which parameter you are talking about. And then you can talk here about Rig Vedic and then later Vedic. See, in class we usually discuss that whenever you have to discuss about the society, social things, then what you talking about, what does the society mean out there? That society consists of the population and what their separate things sphere that we deal with. So first thing is social structure, that what kind of social structure was there into Rigvedic period, and then what kind of social structure we have witnessed into later Vedic period. So this is, you can talk about social structure. And what was the change into these social structure, etc. So what is social structure? In the starting into Rigvedic period, the society was egalitarian. The resources that they had, that they were the early settlers, etc., etc., and they were the agriculturists. So this was the agriculturist society, but there was no surplus production, you can say. The production was substantial one, and that was just to be sustaining the population out there for their well-being, for their day-to-day life expenses, to manage that thing only. That was the production. So society was egalitarian. Yahan pe you can say. And then social structure, that Varna system that we do have now, that was there, but it was not rigid Varna system. So Varna system was simple, structure was simple, fluid, you can say relatively fluid society. Fluid Varna system was there, based on occupation. But their thing, that Varna system was based on occupation, but it was not very much rigid. The person, if they wanted, then they can change their social hierarchy. If you would be changing your occupation, you can change the Varna system, and that classification or division was not very much rigid, and that was the thing. But into later Vedic period, what would happen, that over the time period we will see that this Varna system would become rigid Varna system would be there, and society there would start from egalitarian to there would be disparity. How disparity was there? See, earlier we had everything that was for the self-production or self-sustenance only, but later on the production would be surplus. This surplus would be leading to what? Trade and commerce, but the surplus was not for everyone. The one who would be having greater control over the resources, be it land, be it fertile land, agricultural, then the weapon, or you can say particularly weapon, is iron. And the one who would be having more access to the iron, they would be having more fertile land, and they would be able to clear more land, forest, that would be leading to their higher production, and that would be leading to inequalities, disparities. But believe me that it is not like that we have seen into Gupta era, but comparatively we have to compare it from Rigvedic to later Vedic. So yes, it was facing disparity into later Vedic period as compared to Rigvedic period. Then from here Varna system became rigid. This became rigid, and now this rigidity was like that there would be Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, etc., etc. Also there were lot of caste distinctions as well, कि वो caste में भी change आएंगे. Then what else we need to discuss into society? Another stakeholder of the society is women. So you have to talk about the status of women. We can talk about status of women. And under status of women, what was the changes from early Vedic to later Vedic time period? See, into early Vedic time period, the situation for women into society was equally good as men. See, in the patriarchal society, you cannot say that there was equality between men and women. No, but the relatively situation was good. They were allowed to education. They were allowed to take parts into the ritual. They were allowed to choose their life partner. So they were allowed to take education. Education ले सकते हैं. Participate into rituals, and they were allowed to do what? They were allowed to have partner of their choice. Partner. But these things were not allowed into later Vedic period. Into later Vedic period, they were not allowed to have these things, and that is why their role into the society that changed with Rig Vedic to later Vedic time period. What else we need to discuss under society? That the people out there, they had what kind of political organization, or you can say political power. That is the also part of society, na? That society is ruled by whom? So you can talk about political organization. The political organization we will see here. And under this political organization, what we will be seeing, that there would be tribal chiefs, Raja was there, and this Raja was the decision making authority, but this decision making was assisted by the community itself. The tribal, at the Raja, tribal king, he had the major function of this one was to protect the tribes people, and tribals bola jata hai. So that was the thing, that Raja was the decision maker, but the decision would be assisted by the people. There were assemblies like Sabha, Smiti. They were assisting the Raja, and then Raja would be taking decision. It was not like that sole decision of the Raja, but the thing would change. Why things are going to change? So we have discussed that there would be surplus production. Surplus production would be leading to increase into trade and commerce, and this increase into trade and commerce would be getting what? That Raja would be getting more and more revenue, and that is how economy got on strengthened. And this, due to this, what would happen? The ruler would be, who is there, he would be becoming militarily supreme as well, and that is why now the decision that we usually have seen by taken by or with the assistance of Sabha and Smiti, these Sabha and Smiti, they would be losing their importance, and now the ruler would be moving toward sole decision maker. So that is the thing, that was the change from later Vedic to your later Vedic, Rig Vedic to later Vedic period. And the kingdom, the earlier we had that there were tribal chiefs, so there here Raja were tribal chiefs. So that is the major difference that we will find out. Here we do have tribal chiefs, but यहाँ क्या हो जाते हैं? There we will find out kingdoms. Janpad and Mahajanpad. Janpad, after that, that would be converting into towards the end Mahajanpadas. So that we will see that these would be happening. Then other thing that we discuss about here is cultural development. What was the cultural development here? So cultural development may earlier, if you would be discussing here, next fourth point is cultural development. So what would happen into cultural development? See, into Rig Vedic period, we had the emphasis over the Vedic hymns, emphasis over the ritual, and the lifestyle was nomadic, the nomadic lifestyle. But then it would be changing from late, when we would be going to the later Vedic period. Now the emphasis would increase over the rituals. There would be various this Brahmanical sacrifices. We have considered about Aswamedha sacrifice, Vajpaya sacrifice, then there was Rajasuya sacrifices. So into later Vedic period, the emphasis would increase over the rituals. That earlier it was on the hymns, on the these rituals and nomadic lifestyle, but later on it would have emphasized over the sacrifices as well as philosophy. And philosophy during this time period, we will see there would be Upanishads. So that is how this was the change into culture. And under culture, either you can write here under culture as well as you can make separate point. If you do think that you are leaking out of the point, then culture के साथ अलग point लिख सकते हैं. That is fifth one, religion. What was the change into religion? Society, see, people do perceive the God, na? So religion is part of the society, and you can very well write here. So under religion, what you can talk about, into Rig Vedic time period, there were gods, but these gods were the natural one, the one who was responsible. For instance, that the popular god of the Rig Vedic time period, it was Indra. Indra was the popular god, and that is how that it is being devoted approximately 250 hymns, and that is why that he was the very much particular god. And then there were other gods, but over the time period we will see that into later Vedic period, Indra would lose its that much of significance, and now there would be new gods. And earlier the people used to worship for their material gains, कि भगवान गायें दिलवा दीजिए, भगवान इतनी पूजा, ये लैंड में एग्रीकल्चरल प्रोड्यूस हो जाए, वो हो जाए. तो देयर वाज मटेरियल गेन. Yes, they were very simple or innocent people. They used to talk about that natural calamity नहीं आनी चाहिए, थोड़ी सी wealth increase हो जाए, ये हो जाए. But into later Vedic period, what would happen? There would be philosophical angle, there would be Upanishads, and now the people would be talking about their spiritual gains, and they would be talking about moksha, etc., etc. So that is into the later time period. Okay, then this is all about your society, that societal changes. If you would be writing these 5 points, that change into the social structure, then what was the change into the status of women, or you can say role of women. Then you have to discuss about the political organization, that Sabha, Smiti, Vidata, you can talk about them. Then you can talk about the cultural development that we have seen, that earlier the focus would be your Vedic hymns and rituals. In the later time period, the focus would shift towards the sacrifices and philosophical angle would be there. Then change into religion. The religion, earlier the worship would be for material gains, later on it would shift to the spiritual gains. Okay. Then second thing, society we have discussed. Now second part is that what were changes into economy as well. So let's write that what would be the changes under economy. So we have discussed that the social structure that has changed, that would be due to this discovery of iron by that time, and this discovery of iron would be leading to what? The clearance of forest. This clearance of forest would be leading to agricultural production, and that to surplus production. So this surplus production would be leading to what? Increasement into trade and commerce. And another thing in class when we discuss now, this is the theme. Every time UPSC would be asking that what was the social changes, political changes, how the society of this and this particular dynasty was there, how the economy of this and this particular dynasty was there. So economy, society, polity, these are the major themes. Religious activities, so they would be asking differently. And then we do talk about that if they ask about the society, then what you need to do, you need to talk about the social structure, then you need to talk about the status of women, then you need to talk about the Varna system, then you need to talk about the cultural things that they followed, and that's it. This is how you would be writing multi-dimensional answer. And when it comes to economy, then student would be like, ma'am, dimension nahi explore ha paate. Simple way of thinking is, do think over primary activities, secondary activities, tertiary activities. So if you would be dealing with these three na, then you can make lot of points. What is primary activities? Agriculture, mining, the one which would be exploiting natural resources only. So first talk about here primary activities, or primary activities में क्या आता है? agriculture. So do talk about agriculture. Now agriculture shift कहाँ होगा? From subsistence surplus, the production to surplus. That essential, so you are going to the surplus production, and that is earlier this was herding and nomadic lifestyle. Herding and nomadic lifestyle, and now the shift would be towards producing crop cultivation, and that to surplus production. That is the change that we will see, and this change would be leading to the settled farming practices, and these settled farming practices would be leading to what? Establishment of these urban centers. Why? Because surplus is there, then there would be trade and commerce, and that trade and commerce would be leading to the urbanization. So that is also part of the system now. So first surplus production, this would be leading to what? Trade and commerce. And this trade and commerce में भी वहाँ फिर change आएगा. तो earlier herding and nomadic societies they are barely producing for their self-sufficiency, and then now these tribes and local communities, they were producing for themselves, but now the trade networks would be there, and surplus would be leading to the trade now. So trade networks would be there, and this increased interaction between different regions would be doing what? They would be resulting into the market structure, complex market structure. So earlier we do have simple community self-sufficiency. इधर क्या हो जाता है? Complex market structure. Why? Because surplus is there. And this complex market structure would lead into urbanization. तो urban centers evolve होंगे धीरे धीरे. There would be urban centers, and then what you would talk about, that trade and commerce is there, the trade is expanding, the market is becoming, urbanization, urban centers are flourishing. So then what would happen? There would be relative change into property and wealth, that there would be difference between the property and wealth. So third thing is property and wealth. You can talk about this one, that how it was, that what was the change into property and wealth. So earlier the wealth was measured into what? In the number of cows, the number of livestock, measured into livestock. We have seen the term Govishti. What was that? The war for cows. The wealth cow was counted as the wealth, but later on the wealth would be into the land ownership, because now agriculture is the main societal theme, and that is why now there would be major wealth into land ownership. जितनी ज़्यादा land आपके पास है, ownership doesn't mean that you do have that land, but yes, you do cultivate here. So land ownership, that the land that you would be cultivating, that would be leading to that how much you do produce. So थोड़ी करते हैं तो थोड़ा हो जाएगा, ज़्यादा करते हैं तो ज़्यादा हो जाएगा, and that was creating the difference. So that was the major change. Then I have said you that primary activities, secondary activities, tertiary activities. What is secondary activities? Secondary activities would be your manufacturing, production. So you can talk about crafts, that what kind of craft production were there. है ना? So craft production, earlier there was minimal specialization into crafts, etc., etc., that we will see, and most of the items were handmade. वहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा कुछ होता था नहीं था कि कम्युनिटीज़ कुछ बनाएंगी. इट वॉज मोस्टली हैंडमेड और विद इन द कम्युनिटीज़ ओनली. बट later on into the Rig Vedic period, what we will see that now the economy is increasing, this interaction between various societies, communities is increasing, and that would be another thing, that these person would be having surplus agriculture, and this surplus would be again creating the wealth. That wealth would be explored, or you can say invested into some of the crafts. These crafts were like, there would be artisans, traders, and they would be playing significant role in the society. So earlier use the handmade things would be there, and that would be by the community only. Later on there would be specialization into crafts, there would be artisans, there would be traders, there would be this iron smiths, etc, etc, because iron weapons were required, plow, etc, etc, for particularly for agriculture. If not for the war, then for agriculture you require a lot of the implements, and that would be from the goldsmiths or your iron smiths, and these smiths would be making these things. So there was specialization. Either we do have homemade thing, handmade thing, and yahan what we do have specialization. There would be traders, artisans. So artisans, traders, etc, etc, and these were the changes. That is how you can talk about that, how the change would be from the Rig Vedic to later Vedic period, corresponding to your society, corresponding to your economy, and that is how you need to deal with this question. So that's it, and for your reference I have put some of the kind of, you can say, model answer that may help you to understand that by which way you need to address the question. See, you can opt both the ways. You can write the social structure and then you can talk about both of them. That is the point wise format. But you can also make the table that we have discussed. So that is another way. Table bana doge, then there would be representation, much better presentation would be there, and this is also workable. It is not like, but yes, presentation does matter, थोड़ा सा मैटर करता है. सीधी सी बात है यार, जो चेक कर रहा है अगर उसको दिक्कत नहीं आएगी, और he would be seeing that various parameter are there, and then he or she would be very much impressed. जितना मेहनत आप एग्जामिनर से कम करवाएंगे उतने ज़्यादा मार्क्स आने की आपकी संभावनाएं बढ़ जाती है. ठीक है. Then this is the political organization, cultural developments. Then we do have economy, change into agriculture, change into trade and commerce, and then properties and wealth, craft production, etc, etc, and that is your model answer. Then next one. Next question is about that what were the events that led to the Quit India movement? Point out its results as well. So read the question carefully. Whenever you do have the question, defragmentize it, fragmentize into separate, or you can say subpart. Do subpart. So first part is up to here. What we need to tell, what were the events that led to Quit India movement, then point out its result. What would be the result? Okay, देखते हैं क्या बनता है क्या नहीं बनता है. पहले events that would be leading, है ना, देख लेते हैं कि कौन से इवेंट्स थे. एंड सी व्हेन द यूपीएससी डू आस्क ना number of events, etc, etc, so these kind of moment, that Quit India movement was the one that would be ultimately leading to the independence of India. Not directly, but yes, the influence was such that it would be leading. But these moments are culmination of lot of activities, you can say. That it is not like that if Quit India movement is starting into 1942, then it would be having the impact from 1941 only. No, the impacts would be culminating from the long way back, you can say. And here you can talk about even the hardships of World War I. In the World War I, what happened, that the economy was centralized, or you can say the Britishers put lot of the restriction over the economy as well as over the social and your political things. So these restrictions, they led to the lot of wartime hardships, particularly the inflation, particularly the rise into the food grains, and these would be culminating the people's discontent. And then the last nail in the coffin of this one would be the event of Jallianwala Bagh massacre. So this was the thing that led to the rise of the people, or you can say involvement of the masses into these national struggles, independent struggles, and this would be ultimately resulting that this mass participation would be there. That would start after the World War I. First time we will see that the after World War I, you can write here hardships of World War I, and these hardships would culminate into the form of your national movement, that was non-cooperation movement. This time also it was utilized, but what happened that non-cooperation movement, ये hardships के बाद non-cooperation movement हुआ और ठीक अच्छे से भी जा रहा था, but suddenly Gandhiji withdrew that. So non-cooperation movement was giving them a way to come out with their frustration and to showcase their discontent against the authorities. But when the moment was on the peak, Gandhiji withdrew that. So you can write here, and then what happened with the withdrawal of this one? The energy was there, the masses were involved, the movement has been withdrawn, but energy was not channelized. Energy didn't get channelized, and that is why what would happen? This mass energy would be using its energy somewhere, and we will see there would be rise into revolutionary activities. These revolutionary activities, they would be going to somewhere into abroad. From abroad, they would be strengthening the national movement. So you can talk here sudden withdrawal of non-cooperation movement by Gandhiji, and energy could not be channelized. And energy channelized nahi ho pai, then what you would be talking next point, that is revolutionary activities. Both in and out of country. So it is not only India, but outside India, from the abroad also we will see that there would be revolutionary activities. And under these revolutionary activities, you will see that the incident like Kakori incident, Kakori revolt, and that is how that these things would be again culminating the masses, again involve mass mobilization. This was the word you would be using. So that is the thing, and all these things was going on. Then what happened? Suddenly the World War II would start, and that's not the only thing. Britishers announced India's participation into World War II without asking India, without the consent of Indians. So you can talk about World War II. And now the debate would be going on that how you can involve India into that one. And in that incidents, what would happen? That in 1937, we had the provincial government, their Congress was ruling, and all the legislature, they resigned from the provincial legislature, that no, you cannot involve us into the World War II without our consent. And then they said that okay, we will be participating, but we do have some of the conditions. If you would be fulfilling that, then India is with you in the World War I, otherwise we are not. And these conditions were what? Some kind of responsible government now only, that immediate some transfer of some power, and then the formation of constituent assembly, that there should be formation of one of the committee, constitution assembly, that would be making the constitution for India, that India was supposing that after World War II you would be giving us independence, and for that matter after जैसे ही World War II खत्म होता है, you would be appointing one of the constituent assembly. But Britishers denied, and the Britishers denied. Then India, the political people out there, they were having the debate whether they should help Britishers or not. Then there would be lot of the efforts. These Gandhiji would be having separate opinion, Jawaharlal Nehru would be having separate opinion, then Subhash Chandra Bose and these leaders, they would be having separate opinions. Let's discuss thoda sa. Gandhiji wanted that Britishers, they are fighting for the just cause, or you can say real cause, against the Nazism and fascism. But Jawaharlal Nehru was like that, yes, we do agree that they are fighting for their cause, but another intention of these people is to retain their colony. If they are fighting really for the democracy, then why they aren't making the colonies independent? And that is why they said that we will participate into the World War II, but terms and conditions apply. That conditions we have discussed. On the other hand, Subhash Chandra Bose was like that, if you would be asking lot of the things that none of them is going to provide us, and then what we should do, we should take the advantage of this opportunity. Now the Britishers are involved into the war, we should participate, or you can say we should take the help of the rivals of the Britishers, particularly Japan and Germany, and then we should launch a war against them. That was the thing, and he would be making INA and all those things there. But ultimately what happens, that people's opinion, or you can say the large opinion, would be shifted towards the Jawaharlal Nehru, and then there would be these things that we will be putting our demands. If something comes out, then that is okay. But ऐसा कुछ होता नहीं है. What would happen in 1940 कि बहुत सी डिमांड की, बट कुछ निकला नहीं, एंड देन इंडिया डिसाइडेड, और पीपल डिसाइडेड, जहाँ इवन गांधी जी हैज टू डिसाइड दैट वी विल लॉन्च व्हाट, इंडिविजुअल सत्याग्रह. Individual satyagraha, here that every individual, they would be going there and they would be showcasing their satyagraha, that they would not bow against the authority and they would demand for their independence. And then this was suppressed, the suppression of this one, it showcased that Britishers are in no mood to provide us independence, and that is the thing that would be leading कि अब तो कुछ नहीं हो सकता. But Britishers, they were also facing hardships from the Japan, and Japan was advancing toward India. That is why on the Britain there was pressure from the, you can say, USA, that you have to negotiate with India, otherwise you would be losing out your greatest colony. And for negotiating out there would be Cripps mission. So there would be Cripps mission. But in Cripps mission, Britishers didn't talk about the condition we had. They didn't agree over our demand of formation of Constitution Assembly. वहाँ पे चीजें बिगड़ जाती हैं, and this negotiation between the Congress people and the Indians and the Britishers, it didn't work out, and that is why this was the dissatisfaction, or you can say dissatisfaction from the Cripps mission, and that led to the frustration. Again, whenever there would be war kind of situation, then there would be war kind of hardships as well. The thing is, there would be the fund that was allocated to some kind of welfare that has to be diverted to the military, and in some such circumstances, if there would be famine, etc., then people would die. And another thing, then war is going on, then all the things would be inflated. There would be large inflation, and this bearing of inflation would be on the local people, on the population out there, and this would be leading to the discontent among the masses. And it was so huge that ultimately Gandhiji has to come up with one of the slogan. That what was the slogan or call for? Do or die. So that was call for do or die. Kariye or mariye. So that was the thing, that these events ultimately led to what? Do and die demand. Call के बाद Gandhiji gave this mantra that either do or die. It was not in the violent sense, but it was in the sense that whatever you can do, you have to do for the independence. That was the thing that, and this speech of Gandhiji, it made aware the British authority, as well as it was impactful in mobilizing the masses out there, and that led to what? that ultimately it was decided that after some time in the morning, the new movement, that is Quit India movement, would be launched. But Britishers were so aware that they didn't wanted Gandhiji to build the tempo, and what they would do, they would be arresting all the major leaders in the night, and the moment then when it would start in the morning, the movement was leaderless. But what impact else it had? So we'll see. Masses were involved. You can arrest the leaders, but what about masses? जेल भरो, कहते हैं भर लीजिए, do and die. आप कितने भी जेल भरिए, हमें कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. And that is how these would be the results. So let's discuss the results as well. थोड़ा इसको छोटा कर लेते हैं. So these events ultimately led to what? Some results. And now second part is point out its results. That what were the results? 10 minutes. In the results, mass mobilization was done, and that led to, I have told you that most of the great leaders, they were arrested at that time, and if the leaders has been arrested, then the movement was leaderless. But these leaderless would be leading to the emergence of new leaders. There would be Aruna Ashraf Ali, who would be hosting the flag out there. Then there would be lot of the leaders who would be leading the movement underground, and these were the impact that you talk about. The mass mobilization is there. After mass mobilization, you can talk about, see, mass mobilization is there, new leadership is there, and new leadership would be there, but Britishers were in no mood to leave the country independent or to make and let us happen the get the independence. That is why what happened, that they would be coming up with huge repression, the repercussions, etc., etc. So repression by the government would be there. Then this event would be getting the international attention as well. Repression, then international attention. International attention, and laterly what would happen? Ultimately, it would be leading to the post-war negotiation, and these post-war negotiation would be leading to the path of independence. So you can talk about post-war negotiation, and then you can end up with saying that it led to us the path of independence. That should be your optimistic conclusion. So that is how you would be discussing this your question, and this is the model answer that you can refer. So do see it whenever you do have some of the things to see upon. And the next question that we do have, how far the industrial revolution in England was responsible for the decline of handicrafts and cottage industry into India? So how far means सिर्फ यही रिस्पॉन्सिबल था. यू नीड टू डिस्कस बोथ वेज whenever they ask the question. So you need to interpret in both the ways. So when the industrial revolution is there, let's understand a bit. IR, industrial revolution. And industrial revolution में what you are having? Surplus production, and that is, you can say, mechanization as well. And for surplus production, if you are having surplus, then what you would do? You cannot store this one, you cannot use this one, you require for this market. And market, for market what would happen? You require lot of the population. Britain में इतनी population है नहीं, then what would happen? That they would be dumping this into some of the other country. Dumping. And this dumping would be leading to what? That there would be competition. With what? With local. And to avoid this competition, what happened? Britishers came, this local cottage industry, local handicrafts industry, उन्हीं के साथ competition तो करना पड़ेगा. And to avoid this competition, Britishers would be coming up with their policies, and then there would be British policies. And these type of policies, what were these? That there would be lesser excise duty, duty-free trade would be there, and ultimately what would happen? This mass production would be competing out the local industries, and this competition would be leading to the dumping of British goods into India. So that is how you can talk about these things, colonial policies, etc., etc. And this what would happen in this competition, the local industries, this British policies would be working as the competition breaker, and यहाँ से क्या होगा? Loss to the local, and these loss to local, what would happen? The decline into handicrafts, in handicrafts or cottage industries. So that is the simple thing that you need to come up with this flow, and you need to explain, and that is why that you would be leading this way. And how you would be making the point of this one, let me show you. So here you can talk about that there was mechanization of the production, and that would be leading to the surplus production, and that surplus production would be due to that there was some of the example that you can talk about, that spinning jenny and power loom revolution. It led to what? Textile production into England, and India ka textile production at that time was very much popular. So the England's textile has to compete with the Indians, but you cannot directly compete with Indians. You have to make yours cheaper, and India's would be the costlier. So uske liye what you would require? That they would be doing competition with the Britain manufacturing, and this was the machine made textiles they would be producing into large amount, but they have to enter that into Indian market, and for that you require some kind of policies. These policies would be in the favor of Britishers. How? Because they would be having tariffs, trades, regulation and market access. It would be in the favor of Britisher goods, and if it is in the favor of Britishers, then that would leading to what? Displacement of traditional craftsmen. So it would be leading to the displacement of traditional ones, and that would be leading to ultimately urbanization and labor changes as well, because labors are also required, and then these labor changes would be again impacting. See here, not only involve yourself with the cottage and handicrafts, you have to search out all the impacts. So don't forget this one, cultural impact, that this decline would be leading to the visibility and prestige of British products, changed customer preferences. Now it also changed the customer preferences. Now आपको कुछ सस्ता मिल रहा है तो obviously you would be taking that, and then now you are not having your focus over the handmade textile by India. Your focus is now on what? Over the machine made textiles of Britain, and that is why there would be cultural impact, and then that would be ultimately leading to what? India, which was a great exporter at that time of the finished goods, the textiles, now it has been totally reduced to a exporter of raw material only. So in that would be leading to what? Earlier when you were producing something, देखो आप कुछ चीजों को ultimately जब final produce करके भेजते हैं ना, that do have higher value, higher cost as compared to when you are selling the goods only on the first stage, initial stage. So raw material से ज़्यादा आपको final finished goods देती हैं, but पहले हम finished good export करते थे, and now what you have been, now you have resorted to only the exportation of raw materials, and that is how it would be leading to the decline of handicrafts and cottage industries. So do read this one, and that's it with the history questions, and they were simpler as compared to your art and culture. There it was specialization. Sometimes you may leak out some of the points, but into modern India, ancient India, this was pretty much okay, that you do know that these are the differences, only presentation is the thing that you need to do. So do write this point wise, and that's it. Okay guys, so all the best for your remaining exams, and stay tuned.